I just finished my first week of medical school and I wanted to document some of what it's been like so far. So this should be helpful for those that are heading into med school in the future, reminiscent for those that have done it already, and educational/fun for everybody else. Let's go. The first big thing that happened here is that I moved from my relatively small town in Indiana to the enormous city of Chicago. I've never really been a big city person, so like many of my classmates, in addition to adapting to medical school, I'm also adapting to the big city life. And one thing that has made this infinitely easier is the fact that I live within walking distance to class, about a quarter mile away. This has been great, not only in helping me avoid that bumper-to-bumper traffic that we all know and love, but it's also a huge time saver. And one thing that I knew coming into med school that I've already reaffirmed is that time is everything. Because I'm walkable, I can leave my apartment 10 minutes before I need to be seated in class, if I'm feeling brave and want that early morning adrenaline spike. I'll obviously give myself more time than that, but the point is here that by not wasting time with a long commute in bumper-to-bumper traffic, that's now time that I have back to spend on things that really matter, i.e. studying, sleep, exercise. So if you move to a bigger city at any point and you're not a big city person, I would highly recommend living within walking distance of whatever campus or job you're commuting to. Moving on to what med school's actually been like so far. So technically we're heading into our third week, which means we've actually done 2 so far. Although week 1 was all orientation, things like getting to know each other, PowerPoint presentations, and other admin things like getting our student IDs, learning about the software, along with the format and expectations for our classes. And then because my school places a high emphasis on community involvement and betterment, we capped off the week with a community service day at Union Park, where all the first year med students helped out with various activities. For example, we had a big cookout that provided food for all the community members, and I was on Team Burger, best burgers in Chicago. No bias. With orientation out of the way, we headed into week 2, which was much more reflective of what the semester will actually look like. We did have class, although it was somewhat diluted by admin things that we still had to knock out, and they did this intentionally to provide us with an adaptation period to allow us to acclimate to the new environment and increased workload, which is substantial. By no means are we fully adapted to med school after this ramp-up week. That adaptation period will likely be different for everyone, but may very well take the better part, if not the entire first year. Anyway, day 1 of the first real week where the gloves are off starts tomorrow. So that's a 10,000 foot view on what we've done over the past couple weeks, although I do want to zoom in on a couple important things. Number 1 is developing an effective study method and routine, and this is something that I've very loosely developed over the past couple weeks, but will continue to refine with time. I am thinking about doing a dedicated video on studying in med school later on once I've nailed this down, so let me know in the comments if that's something you'd like to see. To provide a basic rundown of what I'm doing currently, for a first pass through the material, I'm watching my school-specific lectures along with videos from third-party resources, for example, Pathoma, because we did cover some pathology last week. Then I'm reviewing with Anki, using both the AnKing deck along with my school-specific deck. Then we have in-person activities like cases and labs that will further reinforce the material. To provide a general time frame on what that looks like, if I have class tomorrow, today I will first do all of my review cards in Anki, then I'll go watch the video lectures for tomorrow's classes, after which I'll go back to Anki, unsuspend, and do the cards for that new material. That way when I show up to class, I've at least had some exposure to the material, and then our activities will further reinforce it. This may change a dozen times over, but it's at least a good starting point. The last thing that I wanted to talk about today that I've really been focusing on over the last couple weeks is maintaining my health and personal interests outside of class. For me, the big ones are sleep, exercise, nutrition, maintaining relationships, and working on my YouTube channel. And prior to starting med school, I had at least a couple people tell me that I wouldn't be able to do these things, like exercise regularly or make YouTube videos. And for those of you that don't know me personally, when someone tells me that something can't be done, my personality is very much, watch me. Picking on the exercise component of this, to suggest that regular exercise during med school can't be done is a terrible thing to say. Even though there is a time sacrifice with regular exercise, it works synergistically with time spent studying by promoting learning and retention of new information, along with maintenance of general sanity and burnout prevention. With that said, I realize that I'm only 2 weeks in and we haven't gotten to the meat and potatoes of everything, but these are things that I will continue to prioritize outside of class. And just in case anyone else has been given some similarly bad advice, I would like to challenge that viewpoint and provide some reassurance. Understand that we all have a finite amount of time. You can't do everything, but there are some things that you definitely can and probably should do. Thanks for watching. If you found this video helpful, give it a like, drop a comment, and subscribe to the channel. I'll see you in the next one.